tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'm Supergirl, and I'm here to save the world. I wanna know.
Yeah.
Throwing it back tonight.
Yeah. Credit to our engineer Marissa for pulling this little number. We like it. Hey guys, welcome back to the AfterBuzz show for our Supergirl. This is season 1, episode 8 already, called Hostile Takeover. I'm one of your hosts, JJ Jurgens, and you can follow me at JJ Jurgens on Twitter. And I'm joined here tonight by
Stephanie Wenger, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stephanie Wenger.
And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Tauri J, Taurijay.
Awesome. And we're very excited because this is the big winter finale, so we won't be here for a few weeks after this. So it was a really good one to kick us into the holiday season. So let's start out. You, speaking of holiday wishes, your wish came true in this episode.
So excited. You have no idea. I literally turned to you and I was just like, it's happening.
Your eyes were like, you lit up. It was so cute. It was like a kid at Christmas.
I was so excited. I mean, that big reveal at the end, it felt so worthy of a winter finale.
Mm-hmm. So when we had talked about predictions and stuff, you said you were hoping, you wanted to see what would happen if Kat figured out who she was and what that would do with the relationship.
And I thought it was like a perfectly written scene as well. It was such a nice reveal because I think sometimes those types of things can become either too big or like you're kind of like, oh, that could have been done better. It was a little anticlimactic. Where this just felt like right in where you wanted it to be. It was like enough of a reveal but not too crazy.
Yeah. I agree. It was really well crafted in that like Kat wasn't pressing. She wasn't like essentially calling her out. She was just putting all the evidence forward like the reporter that she is, and then going, it's true, just acknowledge it. And I love that moment when Supergirl had to go and she's like, I know you have more important things. It's like she now finally sees her, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I thought it was perfect because Kat being so smart and on top of everything like in her life and her business there, that she would recognize like, okay, where did she go during this? Where did she, what happened to the cold? And then so I think it was. I'm glad they did it.
It was only a matter of time till you start putting those puzzle pieces together, and I loved that it wasn't like, oh, I realized you're her with glasses like on. That like would have been so like, oh, okay, like yes, everyone knows, we got it, but like to start being able to like pinpoint those times she was missing and she needed her when she was helpful. I felt like that was so Kat that she was able to go back and have this whole list of things that she had done, and and you could kind of see the shock on Kara's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to see her kind of having to deal with that. And more was revealed about her, too, because we realized tonight that she has a son named Adam Foster, who now we see where Blake Jenner is going to fit into this whole equation.
So excited about that, too. They're so much fun from Glee, and it's always fun to see a married couple, especially in this show. They're not going to play a couple and so it'll be fun to see them kind of how they interact. I remember on Friends, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston playing people who hated each other in a Thanksgiving episode, and it's so much fun. It's just like a different thing for sure. Do you think there'll be a couple?
I think possibly yes. I think, or at least some sort of romantic something to because I don't think we can keep having the James and Wynn thing go, on and on and on. Like, I think there's got to be somebody else in there to stir the... Yeah. We need to expand this triangle a little bit.
And our engineer, Marissa, just wrote, yes!
Yeah!
So I feel like we definitely have... I would love to see them be romantic on the show, but it'll be interesting to see how they get there.
Yeah. Though, I mean, we're finally getting Wynn kind of summing up that courage, so I feel like it'll be a good battle, Though again, I'm always saying it, Supergirl don't need no man.
You are correct.
Very true. She's strong. I mean, she's everything that we talk about, like that she's like this great role model character for girls.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I love a good romance story.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't need a man, but I mean, she deserves a little something, you know? A little kiss, a little something. Yeah. She works hard. You're awesome, Marissa. Yeah, so we also see, I know since you touched on that with the triangle, again, during James like telling him that he didn't realize how much he really liked her, but he still at the end of it kind of still gave that look that we keep seeing him give all the time. So do you think
it was interesting because you had this moment of him being like, no, she's yours, like kind of, it felt like in a way, and I hate to use this description of it, but like passing a baton to him being like, no, like I'm out of the game, you should go after her, and then you saw, but he goes on to describe how awesome she is and like all of his amazing feelings for her, and you're like, wait, I think you might have feelings for her, you're just trying to deny it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that, especially in this episode, you see those like underlying feelings, like that moment when they were both like, "You're dating Lucy," and he's like, "Yeah."
That's when the look was. Sorry,
exactly. I mean, he's given looks all over the place, girl. Yeah. And I think that I mean, I guess to him it's a noble thing to do, to be like, I'm going to step back from this, mostly because, I mean, you are dating someone, so you should kind of figure that whole thing out. But beyond that, I mean, Wynn has very strong feelings for Kara, and whether she likes him back or not, like, he has to kind of push him to share it. Like, at that point that he says how he feels, he can move on if she doesn't like him, or they can try to venture into a relationship. But nothing's going to happen, and he's only going to keep being a bitter Betty until he says something. Yeah.
And it's so interesting for James to be saying, to be encouraging him, but then, and saying, like, she's the type of woman that you risk everything for, and if I were you, I'd risk it, So it's like, if he recognizes that, and that she's that type of woman, it's interesting to see him then still giving the looks and having these underlying emotions, that are kind of there, lingering. Yeah. So you go for it.
Tonight I did see for the first time this like notion of him being fully committed to his relationship and not really understanding what his true feelings for Kara was. That's kind of how I interpreted tonight, was that he really seemed like he wanted to be in his relationship, but would say these things and give these looks that were something completely different for Kara.
We shall see how it all works out in the battle. Let's go back to a little bit. Let's talk more about Kat revealing this about her son, Adam Foster, because she reveals, I mean, this was a big choice for her to not be a part of her son's life.
Yeah, I have to say that it was not shocking. When they were trying to figure out who Adam Foster was, as soon as they were like, oh, she's depositing money into his bank account, I was like, this is absolutely a son. For sure. Like, I had no doubt in my mind. Did you think it was anything else?
I did not.
Yeah.
No. Did you?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, this was like a very clear-cut storyline to me.
I mean, the only other thing I could see it being would be if at some point she was paying someone off to keep a deeper, darker secret. So I thought maybe they would be diving into a rabbit hole where, like, she killed someone with her car at one point, and that's the secret that she doesn't want to escape. But she doesn't seem like the type to kind of hold something like that back. But at the same time, I think the son reveal was perfect in that it's just personal enough to where she's going to go to any length to protect it.
I like it too, because I feel like this was another way for them to address, a current topic and what an issue that women are faced with when you're choosing like career, family, how and I think also I like how it brought her and Kara together again, because because she had to make Kat had to make the choice to give up her, relationship with her child, and then Kara was saying how I understand how, trying to understand a mother's choices. So I liked that dynamic of seeing that kind of similar situation from two different size of a story.
Yeah.
I agree with you about the social issue as well. It mirrored, for those of us who follow Hollywood news, the Sony hack. Immediately when it happened, I was like, oh, you're mirroring a Sony hack that happened at one of the major studios, and this is a major media company. And it was just funny that it took a different turn, but that was my immediate thought, was like, you stole this, like ripped it from the headlines.
Right.
Yeah.
It was funny that it also revealed some things about her, that she, let's see, so she has like 3 different personal shoppers. What else? There was, she had applied to be on Undercover Boss,
which I loved because that's a CBS show.
Yeah,
and it was like a shout out to Synergy at CBS.
Right.
I like that too because ABC does that a lot on their shows, and CBS doesn't do it as much. But I thought, they definitely took a card out of it. Yeah, and she revealed she slept with John Stamos.
Yeah,
right? Good for her. Like,
I get a little guest star on there.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
it's on a Fox show right now, but you never know.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, I love how tame her stuff was. There was nothing super scandalous. It was all just like, she's rich. She's doing rich person things.
Yeah.
I was just like, it was like things you would expect from her for the most part. It wasn't like crazy. And I love that the reason she applied to Undercover Boss was that Anderson Cooper suggested it. Like, of course she would be friends with Anderson. Like, obviously.
Yeah. Probably at dinner. Yeah. What did you think of Dirk Armstrong?
I mean, he did a really, I actually didn't look up the actor's name, unfortunately, but he did a great job playing that character because you knew exactly who he was from the minute he spoke. Like, you were like, oh yeah, you're the guy who's going to try to overtake this company and do anything to make it happen. I think I was very clear on a lot of things in this episode. I was very clear. I didn't need a lot of, backstory on, which I thought was nice because they didn't give me a lot of backstory, so I was like, it just went on.
Flowed.
Yeah, I'd agree. The shorthand of the character was really well executed.
Right.
I mean, he just a little backstory is Dirk Armstrong is a super minor comic character. He's in the Daily Planet. He is kind of like he's basically the same kind of jerk, but to like Lois and Clark. So that's like his role, is to be kind of a D-bag. And he did it well. It like really easily transplanted into corporate espionage.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you for the backstory.
Yes.
And how did you feel about them bringing Lucy in to help, fix this whole problem?
I thought it was a good use of her character. Like, up until now, she's basically just been a love interest. I mean, she had her chance to, when her father was on, to kind of, you see her role as a military lawyer?
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting, and I like that they were able to utilize that. She's not just James's girlfriend. She's a part of the team now, which is great.
Yeah, that's what I felt like, because we kind of saw this trio working together with the emails. You had James, Wynn, and Kara, and to bring her in as like the fourth in this group was like a really nice use, and also kind of shows you her smarts and everything that she is beyond being James's girlfriend, because that's as you said, that's pretty much what we know her for at this point.
Right.
I did like Kat had another snark saying that she got the looks, when she realizes that she was with Lois, which she had another. I did know sometimes we talk our favorite quotes. I loved when she said about Wynn, that handsome little hobbit who has more cardigans than you do.
That made me giggle. Yeah, speaking of a quote, I loved at the beginning of the episode, and such a foreshadowing moment to what we were talking about earlier, the big reveal, what planet are you from, to Kara? Because at the time you were like, oh, she's just saying that, blah, 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 and then come to the end of the episode, you realize, like, there's probably a deeper meaning to that.
Exactly.
I also love Kara's mousy look, where she's like, haha,
Yeah.
that was great. It was well done.
Yeah.
She had a lot of range in this episode, I thought. How did you guys feel about, like, just her overall acting? And, I mean, it was...
I think she's doing a great job of kind of getting into the different, like, parts of this character. I think people were very concerned, or people have tweeted me about that they want didn't want her to just be like this perfect superhero, and they didn't want her to be too clumsy and silly. And I think she's getting a really nice like balance between the two of like trying to figure out her stuff, being like she's kind of showing that she's a hard worker at work, and then she's like the Supergirl part of it, and then training and being like family stuff. It's just like a really nice balance of things, and I think Melissa's doing a great job at all of it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I like that her character is super three-dimensional. Like Superman as a character is I won't call him two-dimensional, but he's very simple. He's very basic. He's a farm boy who also has superpowers and is like very much a Boy Scout. Whereas she's allowed to be angry. She's allowed to contemplate killing someone. She's allowed to like really dive deep into her character because she's growing, and you have to get her to a certain point. And it's that journey that we're experiencing with her that makes her a more rich character. Like, and even her Kara persona gets to have these moments where she is a sister, and she's also a really great assistant, and she's so multifaceted. That's a hard word to say, guys. Multifaceted, that it's really brought out by Melissa's performance, and I think that it's a hard thing to do that she's pulling off.
Yeah,
I agree with both of you, and I noticed in this episode tonight too, she really has a great chemistry and connection with every single different relationship. Like there's not one that I don't buy, that I'm like, oh, that's not quite working. Like she's there with every single one, with each different emotion and each different feeling, which has to be just a very difficult job when you add on all the fight scenes that she has to get the choreography and all. She's just handling a lot, I think, and doing very well.
Absolutely. And I know they have long days. We've heard from actors on the show that they're long days, so props to her. And also I would say that it's great when you have a show like this. Like I know Melissa from Glee, and I saw Callista on Brothers and Sisters, and and it's one of those things where it's very easy to kind of remember them for their previous characters and not get sucked into that world, because you're like, oh yeah, Callista Flockhart, got it. But they're doing a great job where you don't feel that way. You're like, oh, she was on Ally McBeal, but now she's Kat, and I got it.
Yeah,
I agree with you. All right. Well, I think we already did anything else to add on the love triangle? I think we kind of got to that one earlier. Anything we missed out on that you guys want to add, or no?
Nah.
All right, moving on.
We're good.
All right, well, let's talk about the big confrontation. So, dear little auntie in town.
Ooh.
Yeah. We got a lot of juicy stuff in
Yes.
this one. I mean, we find out that Astro was an eco-terrorist on Krypton, and she could have, her methods weren't great, but she could have, in fact, been the good guy in that whole situation. So I love that now we're getting this conflict inside of Kara, because her whole perception of her mom is being challenged, and she doesn't know how to deal with it, and it's great.
Totally agree with you. I love the decision to make it, because I was reading some tweets too, and they're like, damn you, now you make us like, Astra. It's great. So I like having as the viewer, you don't know now, because now I think about if somebody came into, I like how they also parallel with what we're going through right now too with our ecosystems. And if somebody came in and told me that, that they were going to fix the things that us humans are doing wrong as far as beating our planet up, I might fight for them too. And would I maybe get somebody, I'm not going to kill anybody, but you know what I mean? You might put up a fight or do something against somebody who's against those beliefs. So I thought it was a great job of making us now be torn about whose side are we on, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, what really happened.
Good and evil, again, kind of at play. I feel like it's always interesting when a character, you're not certain kind of what their intention is. That's when it gets really interesting, I think, personally, that when you're still debating good versus evil.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And especially this character, where you could see that everything that she did, quote unquote, wrong is based on the influence of Non, her husband, who seems super homicidal and super extreme, where, I think that her intentions were good, but her having to deal with that side and having to take on more of a militaristic terrorist standpoint kind of pushed her to another level. But you still feel like she cares about Kara, and you still feel like she has a good side to her.
Yeah, it was definitely, and I liked how, in the flashback, they showed her, like, such a deep connection and how much, her even saying, I would love you like, my own child. And so you really know she does care about her. But then it was fun because it also made you wonder how much was real, how much was she playing her, it left you with some questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. 100% it. I just feel like that's always really fun when you're like, wait, I think you're good, but you could deviate off, and we could understand that you've been lying in this moment and what that means for the character. And I think that's definitely going to play out in, I don't know, the second half of this season and once we come back in January.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys know something was up when she lost the battle and she was lying on the ground? Do you think she was gonna faking it?
Well, I did think it was weird that, like, when she was on the ground, she wasn't knocked out, and yet Kara drug her in there. Was she just like, I'm not going, and having a temper tantrum, and Kara just had to just take her by the hand? Like, it was a really weird thing, but I also thought that it was kind of a way of her, I won't call it non-violent protest, but, I mean, before that scene, we had seen that Non was essentially pushing her to either recruit or kill Kara. So I thought it was her way of being like, I'm only going to kind of fight you, but I'm not going to attack because I want to talk. And I thought it was her method of kind of making that forum happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was interesting because you do, like, she's punching her, and I think if they would have had her pass out, that I would have believed it. But then I thought it was weird too because the last we see is her, like, looking, because Kara has to stop herself, from so she's awake, and then so I would have, I don't know. So when she was that passed out, I thought she should be like saying something, like, while she's dragging her in, or like what happened.
Yeah, but that was one of those moments where you're like, interesting. For sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was gonna say something else about Astra, but I'm not sure what it was. I'll think about it.
I thought that aerial fight, like the whole fight in the city, was so amazing. I mean, I love that even though they kind of busted through a building, she was still saving people, which is like part of the criticism that like Man of Steel got, is that like there was so much destruction but no one was saving anyone. And I like that she was, even though she was in this heated battle, she still had the people in mind. I thought all of that stuff was really cool, and also the later battles with the other Kryptonians.
Yeah, let's talk about that last battle. So when they're in with Maxwell Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I liked when he shot the thing, and it like going over his eyes, and I was like, oh, nice.
I mean, I imagine he has a lot of like anti-Kryptonian weapons, just because he's so wary of supers, that I imagine he has like a whole collection of things just waiting.
Did you just kind of want to see that, like his whole like closet of weapons?
No, it's crazy because every time you think like he can't get any worse, he finds a way. Like tonight, I was like, "Oh, you're doing this, okay? Like you're right there." It's funny to me for sure.
Yeah.
But see, I enjoyed him tonight because I liked the fact that he didn't just like, they come crashing in, and he wasn't backing down. I liked seeing him like get it out and like.
Well, I mean, I think it's what we've been waiting for, because he's shown that he's not a fan. But he's kind of spoken out in a press conference. He's, but he hasn't really like gotten in there and fought. And so for me, that was what was exciting about tonight, was the actual like him actually fighting for. He's said a lot of things, but actually actions.
Exactly, not just kind of being the money and the mouth behind it. Yeah,
right.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I also liked the variants of the Fort Ross prisoners, how it wasn't just like flying people. It was the guy who can split himself into two, and the girl who can had the poison gas. Like, I thought that was really cool. I also loved that the DEO agents were holding their own against them for the most part.
I love that you say that, because that's what I thought about too. Like, when you start to get a glimpse of all these other, it just is fun to see what other characters we might be seeing through the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Like, with all their abilities. Yeah, it made me excited.
Yeah, I feel like this episode was funny because you kind of got this taste of what was to come with the reveal at the end and the big fight. You kind of saw like, oh, okay, I can start to see the second half of this show, or the second half of this season rather, and where it's gonna go.
But then we get no trailer to tease us, so
I
we're just
know.
kind of left with that ending. Just
I know.
boom.
Yeah, I spit, like it ended, and I was like, "That's it." I can't because I wanted it. I wanted to see this like super duper epic thing, and it did exactly what it meant to, and that it left me hanging on this cliff, and I'm going to be waiting until January.
I know, it's torture.
One thing I do like that Hank Henshaw, John Jones knows Superman. Like he just kind of slipped that in there. In that, like we thought that it was this big giant secret, and last week he had mentioned that he was like, only one other person knows who I am, and then this week you're like, oh, it's Superman. God.
Yeah.
Like, noted. It all makes sense.
And it was a cute moment with him and Alex too, when he's like, oh, when he couldn't read the minds,
yeah.
and she was like, I like that cute little interaction too. It's like later time. All right, anything else on this episode you guys want to talk about?
I thought I guess it's we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I felt like the biggest like heartbreaking moment of the whole episode was when Kara was talking to the computer of her mom.
Yes.
Just demanding answers, and it's just a computer, so it can't give her the answers that she wants. I thought it was really well done, but it was also really sad. You know, it's the equivalent of yelling at a picture of a parent who's gone away. I mean, it's or a brick wall. It's like yelling at a brick wall. But like, there's so many unanswered questions that she has, and there's nothing that can be done because she's pretty much on her own.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That moment totally sucked me in, and
So sad.
Yeah.
So sad, but then also you just I think when it shot through her eyes, just the expression on her face too, it's just like you could just feel all that pain and sadness, everything all built up in that. Yeah.
And also, I'm just
No, go for it. I don't
liked
want to.
this
Yeah,
episode. I
it's
thought
great.
I liked that Kara actually had to consider whether or not she was going to be willing to kill her aunt, and I like that Alex kind of brought in that idea of, because it's a reality. I mean, that she went easy on Alex because she's her sister, and it's no different because she's even. I would say that in all essence, she's closer to her aunt than she is Alex. Alex had lived with her for a long time, but her aunt almost kind of raised her in a way. So I love that she had to actually really sit down and consider whether she had the guts to kill her aunt. Because ultimately, I think that there's no way that they can leave these prisoners alive or imprison them long term.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because you don't think of Supergirl as like a killer.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I imagine Supergirl, and it's not the way it's been portrayed so far. So it'll be interesting to see if that's a turn that they eventually take with the character. I can't imagine that happening anytime soon. I don't know how you.
The only time I could see is like season finale.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think that it would take the character in a really interesting
Yeah.
direction. Even if it's like an accidental death, I feel like that would be something that you have the chance to really explore, and because this character that we know is very innocent, and she's tortured, but at the same time, like, she has no real blood on her hands. The only character that she's really killed was the robot, I think.
Well, she's meant to save people. She's not meant to kill people. She's meant to do good. So by having her kill accidentally would be really interesting. I agree, because then you get into like, does she feel bad? What how does that make her feel? And that's like a very interesting place to be. But like, to actually have her have the intention to kill, I feel like changes a lot about the character.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. I know it changes it, but if it was a situation where it was like saving the planet and all the people on the planet versus killing her. You know, if it would, I think it would have to be something that big and that heavy, you know, for it to really be a decision that she would have to go through, but not just a couple people over her aunt. But if it was a big moral decision, I think I'd like to see that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, is that it for the episode? Yeah,
I think so.
That's all I got.
All right, I have a little bit of news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So there was an interesting article in the Hollywood Reporter, just kind of a little fluff thing, but it was with the executive producer, Ali Adler, and it was answering a question a lot of people have commented on was, how does Kara afford this amazing apartment on her assistant salary? So she had said, or was that the set is based on an apartment that they really shot at downtown in LA by LA Live. So, and then in her mind, she said she just made up this backstory that the reason Kara has this amazing apartment is because there's a Mrs. Needleberg who lives next door, and she's older, and the Kara got the apartment, for a long time ago, and she gives she got the apartment a long time ago, and she gives Kara a break in the rent because she's the super of the apartment. So,
okay.
I don't know, maybe we'll see Mrs. Needleberg appear in some episode later.
I just like that it's all thought out. Like,
I do too.
Like that she's gone that far with it. Not that it's just like, oh, it's TV and she needs a nice place to live. She can't live in
Yeah, and I like that not only did it was just like, oh yeah, she's the apartment manager. It was like, no, Mrs. Needleberg's next. Now I kind of see this Needleberg next door as we're watching. So
it's all making sense now.
Yeah, just a little something fun. That's all I got.
Supergirl, super.
Yeah. All right, let's go for predictions to wrap this year up.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
And I don't have any. I don't know. I don't know. It's so overwhelming.
I'll go first.
Okay,
All right.
good.
I think.
I was like, someone has one, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I guess my main prediction is about how they're going to resolve this whole fight that's going on. And I think that essentially it's going to come to a point where everyone is going to be in peril, and Supergirl is going to have to give herself up to Astra and Non in order to save everyone in this situation, be it like Lord and Henshaw and her sister. Because right now they're pretty overwhelmed. I mean, even though Supergirl is there, she's the only super that everyone knows about. And I don't think that Hank is going to reveal himself in the next episode to everyone. So I think that she's going to have to give herself up. And then that's when we're going to start to really dive into what Astra and Non's plan is. Because right now we only know that they think that the Earth is in danger. We don't know why it's in danger. We don't know what they plan to do to fix it. So I think that's how we're going to get our in terms of figuring out that whole aspect.
That's a darn good one.
That is a great one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go totally opposite of you and talk about the love triangle that we have going on and say that I'm feeling like after James encouraged him, Wynn's going to reveal his true feelings for Kara and, unfortunately for me, get shot down. And he's going to have to kind of reel from that and figure out, does he need to find a new girl? How can he kind of coexist with Kara and share an office, have a friendship with her, and kind of play that out for some part of this when we come back in January.
That's good. And I think, oh my God, I think the instigator of that is going to be Adam Foster. I think they're going to have a love connection, and I think that's finally what's going to be what drives him to admit his feelings to her.
Yay, Blake and Melissa.
All right, well, I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Keep using the hashtag ABTV Supergirl. We love to read your guys' comments and hear what you think about this. We'll have a few weeks here now to really comment and hear what you guys are thinking. So one more time, where can everybody follow you guys at?
You can follow me at Stephanie Wenger on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can follow me at Tauri J, TAURIJAY.
And you can follow me at JJ Jurgens on Twitter, JurgensJJ on Instagram, and at TomGirl.tv. So happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year. We'll see you in January.
Yeah.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.